Experience the epic series that the world is watching and raving about. Catch up or relive the first 3 seasons of Game of Thrones, now on HBO On Demand, and watch back-to-back episodes anytime on your schedule. This year, join the Legion of Followers and enjoy past seasons of Game of Thrones, plus the premiere of Season 4 on April 6th on HBO. Don't miss out. Sign up for HBO and get free access to HBO On Demand.
Art teacher Andre Birbal sentenced to 28 years in prison. This as the crisis center reveals shocking statistics on molested children. The state minister for finance on no-show at a VAT seminar, leaving lawyers ticked off. Plus, the F&M deputy chairman has his doubts about the NHI implementation date. We've got those stories and a whole lot more tonight. I'm Fawning Toot, and NB12 starts now. Topping news tonight, former art teacher Andre Birbal has been sentenced to 28 years in prison. He received 14 years each for 2 counts of unnatural sexual intercourse with his student. Supreme Court Justice Roy Jones said the sentences will run consecutively. Jones said the unlawful sexual offense could be categorized among the worst, adding that Birbal abused his position of trust and authority to abuse the victim, and the crimes required careful planning. He also said the victim, from all accounts, has been traumatized and had to relive that traumatic experience in order to provide testimony. Jones noted that Birbal failed to show any remorse for his actions and still claims innocence despite being convicted by a jury of his peers. However, Jones said Birbal had no previous convictions, and reports from his former colleagues indicate that he was an exemplary teacher who was involved in his church and other civic organizations. He said Birbal also did not commit any infractions while incarcerated at Her Majesty's prisons. Jones said he took all mitigating and aggravated evidence into consideration, including the more than 5 years Birbal has already spent in prison. Birbal showed no emotion as Jones handed down the sentence. When his lawyer Ramona Fackerson Seymour turned to him, he briefly raised his brows and shrugged his shoulders. In March, after a second trial, a 9-member jury unanimously convicted Birbal of unnatural sexual intercourse with a male student while he was in the 7th and 9th grades. The numbers are what many would call frightening. A Bahamas Youth Health Survey has revealed that nearly half of sexually active teens reported that their first time having sex was forced or somewhat forced. Meantime, police reports reveal that over the past 13 years, they received nearly 3,000 reports of children under age 16 being sexually molested. Director of the Bahamas Crisis Center, Sandra Dean Patterson, says these figures should serve as a wake-up call.
The number of reported sexual assaults is frightening. We know that between 500 and 600 children are reported to be abused or neglected annually over the last 10 years. The Bahamas Youth Survey had revealed that 45% of sexually active girls disclosed that they were forced or somewhat forced to have sex. We know that teenage girls are the fastest growing group in the population to develop HIV.
Additionally, Dean Patterson says twice as many children under age 16 are sexually assaulted as adult women. Crisis Center Representative Annette Poitier says when authorities fail to address cases of child abuse, the victims often go on to commit crimes in adulthood.
The police reports between 2000 and 2013 noted that while there were 1,461 adults who were raped, there were 2,746 reports of children under 16. So that has to be a wake-up call for us.
Some terrible seeds were sown through abuse of children in this country. And if we can address that, if we can save our children, we will see a change in their behavior when they become adult citizens. What we are seeing manifested now started way back. A lot of what we are seeing that we call crime started when those children were abused, and it wasn't addressed.
In an effort to sensitize the public, the Crisis Center will launch an awareness campaign called Let's Talk, thanks to funding from the Women's World Day of Prayer German Committee. The Crisis Center will team up with Bahamian and international filmmakers like Maria Gavan and Kareem Mortimer to develop Bahamian films and public service announcements.
The Let's Talk campaign is just that. It is a break of the seal, the quiet secret, the taboos that are existing in our family and social networks that are corroding our ethical, moral standards of being.
The power of film is often, it serves as a mirror, and this film is that. It's an opportunity for people to see themselves and sort of locate themselves in this story of violence that exists in our communities.
The campaign targets young people ages 16 to 25 in the hope they would speak freely and knowledgeably about gender-based violence. A man died in hospital last night after he was stabbed multiple times in a fight. Police say the stabbing happened at Finlayson Street and Augusta Street in Baintown after 5 p.m. Thursday. Police did not release the man's identity. It's the third murder in New Providence this week. On Tuesday, Minister of National Security Dr. Bernard Nottage reported a systematic reduction in crime in the country, though he did not provide statistics. Members of the Bahamas Bar Association were disappointed this morning after Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis failed to show for the association's seminar on value-added tax. Halkitis was expected to make a presentation on the controversial tax. Jasmine Bonamy reports.
Officials from the Bar Association insist the fact that the minister did not show up for this morning's seminar was not only disappointing, but also left them with many unanswered questions about value-added tax. It's no secret that the introduction of value-added tax will affect how everyone does business in the Bahamas. With the major changes anticipated, Bar Association officials say legal professionals need to know all they can about VAT. They had hoped to learn more from Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis at this morning's seminar. However, Bar Association President Ellsworth Johnson says the minister was a no-show despite confirmation from the ministry.
I just want us, the Bahamas Bar Association, want to publicly say to you, and some of you who are members and to those who are visiting, I'm disappointed this morning that perhaps a much better way could have resolved, could have been arrived at to deal with this matter.
Chairperson for the Education Committee, Wendy Poitier-Albury, explains that they had confirmed the minister's attendance, so it was a complete shock when they learned he would no longer be coming.
Really been cleared out and explained as well as, we felt comfortable with. Members had more questions that they wanted to ask, and we would have hoped that persons would have been here who would have been able to answer them. Despite
the minister's absence, Poitier-Albury insisted the show had to go on. The seminar continued with presentations from other law professionals. She says the association's education arm thought it important to inform its members about VAT. No new implementation date has been given. However, Minister Halkitis confirmed last month that VAT would not be implemented on July 1st as initially planned. He said if VAT comes on stream this year, it would not be until the last quarter. Poitier-Albury says no matter when the new tax regime comes on stream, the Bar Association wants to ensure its members are ready.
We want our members to be fully aware of what is coming into place. We know that we have some members who are quite concerned because they now have to change the way in which they do their business.
She adds that the educational forums are just the groundwork and says the association plans to come up with a unified voice on the matter once officials have gathered all the information they can.
Maybe not at the end of this exact forum, but at other fora, and bring together opposition people as to what the Bahamas Bar Association, what we present or what we feel we should say to the government as to our position.
Reporting for NB12, I'm Jasmine Bonamy.
Free National Movement Deputy Chairman Dr. Dwayne Sands, there is no doubt in his mind that national health insurance will not be implemented in January 2016, warning Bahamians, don't hold your breath. Minister of State for Finance Michael Halkitis revealed the target date for NHI in the House of Assembly on Wednesday. However, Sands says he believes the government either pulled that date out of the sky or it is politically revived date.
I suspect that this is nothing more than just pork barrel politics, and we want to promise that we are going to deliver this gift to the people. And if you do it that way, based on how I read the tea leaves, ain't nothing gonna happen.
Noting the many delays, which he says have become one of the hallmarks of the PLP government, Dr. Sands says he does not believe NHI will be implemented in January 2016. He says the previous Christie administration said national health insurance was coming in 2006. Then Dr. Perry Gomez promised on the campaign trail that NHI would be implemented within 1 year of the 2012 general election.
I think it's a number that they have probably just pulled out of the sky, or that it is a politically derived date. And I suspect that having failed so miserably at meeting the deadlines on everything, that they are asking themselves, how could they salvage any semblance of credibility with the Bahamian public?
Sands also questioned whether government will use NHI as an election ploy by trying to implement it 1 year before the 2017 general election.
The anticipation that election 2017 will be an accounting of the relationship between what you said you would do and what you've actually done. So the thought process would be, if we could only deliver something that could be called NHI, and people get to experience it just long enough that they can forgive us.
Government has engaged Costa Rican accounting firm Sanachest International to come up with the cost for NHI. San says he supports the idea of national health insurance, but remains wary of it, as the Christie administration has released few details of how the scheme will work.
What we don't know is what this plan will look like, what the benefits will be, how much it will cost, and where the money is going to come from. Money is absolutely incredible because healthcare is unbelievably expensive.
The program has been proposed as a means of providing universal access to affordable health care for Bahamians. NHI was previously estimated to cost $235 million annually. It's expected to cost far more than that now. Sands made one suggestion on how government can fund NHI while empowering Bahamians.
If you want to fund national health insurance, if you want to fund healthcare, then you got to get out of the business of owning the hospitals and owning the equipment and owning the supplies. Why don't you sell it to the unions? Why don't you sell it to Bahamians, who will then have a vested interest in making sure that it is run efficiently